Hello and welcome to the Microsoft Project Fundamental course. In the next set of videos, we will focus on Module 4, which we will be looking at the different project views, reporting, and dashboards. And also, in case you're planning on presenting progress of your project's work, Microsoft Project also helps you in making some good, nice dashboards that helps you in reporting. And also you can look at projects in different views, and these are things we're going to show you, so it's meant for you to be aware of and also to make your choices when you're using them. So let's start with tax and hopefully resource views and maybe the time scale in this video. So we pull up the plan of Mr. John for the storage building, and here we see that we are currently in the Gantt chart view. So if you go to the view menu, it shows you that you're currently in the Gantt chart view, and you can change a view by clicking the Gantt chart and you say track and view, which we already looked at for. It helps you in showing baseline. So if I do that, you see how my actual situation differs from my baseline. This is my baseline and this is actual situation, and I can go back and change to Gantt view. Now I can play with a lot of views depending on what I'm playing with tax, which is what I'm doing here with Gantt chart, or resource view, or some other data, which we already used the filter. So I will just show you a little bit one after the other. So for tax views, we've seen the Gantt chart. You can also see tax usage. There's nothing here. Maybe we can put this. And then that shows you how much hours each person how much hours is spent on the work, on the tax. And there you can see in each week or date how much hours, because we said these people are allocated 100%, and it's assumed that you work 8 hours per day. So if you're going to spend 2 days, for example, like the storage, John is there and Vivian, and they can spend both 8 hours in a day or 16 hours depending on how it's scheduled. So another way would be to look at the tax board. Let's click on tax board. Again, this is another way of viewing your tax or your project. Again, it's up to you what you want to do and how you want to look at it. When the complete percentage is there, then you can set this down or something like that. Network, let's look at calendar view. So to look at it from a calendar perspective, scrolling to see, we end somewhere in this date of March. And I can go to other views like tax form, depending on what you want to do with that or what kind of view you want to see. You can play around with it. There's a lot of options in project. And tax sheet shows you an overview similar to what we know, that is close to the Gantt chart next to it, the sheet. And also you can see a timeline view of it. And if you fill up all or indicate that every tax shows up on the timeline, then you should be able to see them. These are the ones we indicated. That's why we only see these ones. And network diagram for tax. It takes a while to build the network diagram and can also be difficult sometimes to read, but you can also see it as a flow. Let me zoom in and then I can see a bit more. See how connected, that's why it's a network diagram, how things are connected until the end. So these are different views that you want to see. I'm just showing you so that you can be aware of them and you can play around with them, and you can also use them for your reporting at the end. For resources, there's also resource usage view. So if we click that, you see all the resource, who is working on what and when and how much time they're spending on which work. And then if you go to sheet, You see the summary of all the resource people, part of what we created. And we didn't do much about cost, but when you manage things, you can also add cost to that as well. And for other views on the resources, we have resource form and resource, what are the views? Resource graph. Let's minimize or yeah. So that depends on what you want to see. Over-allocated versus under-allocated, or allocated rather. Okay, for team planner, not sure what that shows, but this shows you, okay, this is how you plan over time. John does the storage and defines scope. Vivian also makes a guide of this, and I mean, these are really nice ways you can just do copy paste or snapshots and use. Then for data, we talked about, let's keep it under this view and see what happens. On data, we cost over budget. So let's go back to Gantt chart, and we can filter based on critical, like we said, all the critical tags. Or you can filter on something else, milestones. You can see all the milestones. And what you can also do is, let's go to no filter, start with group. Group collects a number of items that you can group together that depending on what you choose, they are connected to that property. So for example, if I want to show critical parts, so these are all the critical parts and these are all the non-critical parts based on all the changes we've made. And if you look at this part, you see that, okay, and then you can also show which parts are on the critical part or not. And you can also look at a group of things that are, let's see the milestones. So these are all milestones. The rest below are not milestones. And you can do a lot with all this, resources and what work they do. You can check. I mean, there's a lot you can do with this. And you can also sort. So, but let's just go to Gantt chart again. And let's put the group to no group. Give everything back. And for sorting, let's sort according to critical. And there you can highlight, you see all the critical points. And if you change that to, let's say, milestones, and it highlight the milestones. Again, these are ways of picking out things. And one last thing we will try to do here is the timescale. So you see on the timescale here, this is on the Gantt chart, the timeline, what is shown. This is now in days. I can change it to weeks. And you can see more of the view. I can change it to year. And they're clustered together. But preferably we keep it, let's see what hours does. And then you can't really see everything together. And then I'll keep it to days, which is for most people preferred. So basically these are things you can look at when working with views and different types of things. So please play with it, have fun, and start looking at what works for you in making your presentation. So you don't need to draw different graphs for yourself. You can use that from Microsoft Project and also just do what you want. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.